Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. The excellent Turki ALALSHIKH, he's been busy releasing information about future fights that he's saying have been signed and sealed. The big one for UK fans, I suppose, was the Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. rematch, which is going to be on September the 20th in London. But also, for American fans, Brian Norman Jr. will be defending his title against Devin Haney. And this will probably be a Riyadh event in November. I don't think the date's been finalised. But the excellent Turki, he did this little missive on, I think it was on X or whatever they call it, and via the Ring magazine, which of course he owns. And this is a fight that Bill Haney, Devin Haney's father, had called for last week. He's got his wish, but be careful what you wish for, because Brian Norman Jr. looked absolutely fantastic against Jin Sasaki over in Japan. Sasaki was extremely crude, caveman sort of tactics, very, very game, very aggressive, and he got knocked flat. He got floored twice in the first round. And then in the fifth round, it was highlight reel stuff. He got absolutely poleaxed, flattened, knocked clean out. So I think we kind of knew that that Brian Norman Jr. probably had underrated power. If you look back at his previous two fights, I think the one against Giovanni Santillan, who was undefeated in 32 fights and came in as the favourite, that was for the interim WBO title. He knocked Santillan out in 10 rounds, and then that was in about a year ago, 14 months ago, something like that, 13, 14 months ago. And then earlier this year in March, he beat Derek Cuevas in 3 rounds, and Cuevas did seem to sort of quit a little bit. As soon as the going got tough, he most certainly didn't get going. And Brian Norman Jr. stopped him in 3 rounds. But Cuevas came in with like 27 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. So when you consider those two fights, the Santillan fight and the Cuevas fight, and then the Jin Sasaki fight, he was 19-1-1. He's on a run of very powerful form, showing an awful lot of power, Brian Norman Jr., as well as skills. He doesn't rely on his power. He sets it up, which is a sign of what they call a boxer puncher. He's not a caveman. He's not a throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at the opponent. He is quite a scientific banger, quite a scientific power merchant. So that brings us to Devin Haney. Why is Devin Haney, considering I don't think he's fought at welterweight before. He fought at, was it 143? Against Jose Ramirez, and it was a dreadful fight. He looked absolutely gun-shy against Ramirez, who just sort of trundled after him. Ramirez looked he looked almost as bad, in fact, he probably looked worse than Canelo Alvarez against William Skull, when Alvarez just plodded after him. And at least Alvarez had some intent. Ramirez, when he fought Haney, didn't seem to have any ambition, really. He didn't seem to know what to do. And yet, Haney ran like a rabbit. And yeah, he was pinching points, but it was a purely amateurish, probably in the literal sense of the word, performance. Very, very underwhelming performance. And they were talking about Haney rematching Ryan Garcia. There was that infamous no contest where Haney was essentially smashed to bits, but then it was called a no contest because of failed PED test from Garcia, but Garcia lost to Rolly Romero, unbelievably, and got floored in the process. So now you have a case of Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney meeting. Now, Norman Jr. originally wanted to fight Boots Ennis, but Boots has moved up to 154, probably not before time, because he was big for the 147 poundage. He's a huge welterweight, and I think he'll do well at 154. I think he'll be a better fighter, certainly a more energetic fighter. But that does mean that we now have a switch from Brian Norman Jr. facing a very big welterweight to facing a guy who's going to make his 147 pound, pretty much his 147 pound debut. And like I said earlier, you got to be careful what you wish for. because Bill Haney can talk all he likes about his son, but I said this previously. Devin Haney Jr. strikes me as a fighter who had a lot of tough gym wars, a lot of what they used to call smokers over in Mexico when he was young, when he was still a teenager. There's a lot of miles on that clock, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was finished within the next couple of years. By the time he hits 28, he'll be a shot fighter. He's 26 at the moment. He's been the undisputed lightweight champ, which was a tremendous achievement, and did it, pretty much on the road. Went abroad twice to Australia to fight George Kambosos, outpointed him twice. He's beaten some good men. I've got quite a bit of respect for Devin Haney's ring achievements. And as far as I can see, he hasn't ducked anyone. So in that, I know Bill Haney rubs people up the wrong way and Devin irritates some people, but his ring achievements are considerable. And people said, he was a weight bully at lightweight. And okay, I don't really know. I don't really know what that is. Weight bully. I think that's one of those phrases that gets thrown around and people don't really know how to define it. But you put him in against Brian Norman Jr., he's got his work cut out. And if he has got a lot of miles on the clock and the old chin is beginning to crack, or if maybe it's already cracked thanks to Garcia. He was on the floor 3 times in that fight. If anyone's going to find it out, it's going to be Brian Norman Jr. And Brian Norman Jr. his timing and his precision is exemplary. He doesn't throw as many punches as Haney, but he's a very, very good fighter, very good fighter, somewhat underrated fighter. Doesn't have the name of a Haney or a Garcia or a Boots, but make no mistake about it, a very, very good fighter. Now, both these guys are orthodox guys. By the way, Norman Jr.'s got 28 fights now with 22 KOs, no draws, no defeats. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be I'd say, I would make Haney a strong outsider in this fight. I'm not going to do a prediction video yet because a lot can happen between now and November. But I tell you what, you can't knock Haney for his ambition. He'll fight anyone. He really will. But I can't get past that pathetic performance. He looked gun-shy. It's terrified of getting hit by Ramirez. And is there a PTSD thing going on with Haney regarding the Ryan Garcia fight? Certainly, is it Timothy Bradley and another famous name were talking about this, and they said that he does look like that there's some definite mental fracture. I think it was Shane Mosley was the other one who said this. There's some definite mental fracture there, psychological fracture with Haney, because he can't get past that absolute beating he took against Garcia. So what's he going to be like when Norman clips him? Okay, Haney's not Jin Sasaki. He's not going to walk in the front door with wild hooks flying all over the place. He's going to try and box. But if he doesn't find his groove, find the rhythm, and control the range, Norman with that power and with that timing and that precision, yeah, I strongly favour Norman. Those are my first impressions anyway. But I could be wrong, and again, I always say this, I give an opinion and I say I could be wrong, because of course we could all be wrong. If we were all going to be right most of the time, or certainly all of the time, we'd all be driving around in Rolls Royces and living in mansions. But let me know what you think. What do you think of this matchup? I think it's the wrong matchup for Haney, but we'll see. Let me know your opinions. Leave them below. Thanks very much for watching the video, and if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. All right? Looking forward to reading your comments. Thanks for your time and your support, as always. I'll get you later. Bye for now.